This is how to sew a polypropylene mask with materials that were provided for us by Cox and Mercy Hospitals. This is a non-woven fabric that you might also find in common materials like household tote bags that you take to the grocery store. I have prepared this mask. It's basically a 7-inch by 8-inch rectangle that was pre-cut, and then the strips are of the same material. They're 1/2 inch by 36 inches. When I prepared this, I centered the 36-inch strip on the back of the mask and just kind of eyeballed it, or you can also kind of mark it with a little dot or something to get it halfway there. And I'm using these clips that are really handy. I don't know, I think they're called sewing clips, and you can get those. I got these on the internet for like 100 for $12, and they're really useful. I'm sure I'll find a lot of things to do with these clips after this whole thing is over. But notice that they're flat on one side. So when I started and I folded this over so I could see that it went just to the edge, I did it from the back, but then make sure that you use the flat side to the sewing machine. Now I've also, I took the pattern that Cox gave us and I made these tiny dots where I'm going to do pleats. And I just used a fine tip marker for that so they won't bleed or get onto the fabric other than the dot. Now we want to start here on the upper left hand corner, and we're going to sew seams that are 1/2 inch. So you can use your presser foot to guide you, or if you have a different size foot, you could put a piece of tape here to mark so that you see where 1/2 inch is. Now you want to especially be careful here because this is going to form a tube where we are going to put the wire that will mold the mask around your nose. So be sure that you leave enough room here. It is, because my presser foot is in the way, it's a little bit tight here, but that'll be okay because we're going to put the wire in from this end. So just make sure that the majority of your tube is open. And so the other thing I want to mention, a lot of you said, you know, you haven't sewn in a while, and or maybe you're learning. This is just a basic sewing tip. See, this is the upper thread, this is the bobbin thread. You want to make sure these don't get all tangled up because you're just going to get into a jam right from the beginning. So I always pull this out so I have a good start, and I pull it to the back, and I hold it with my hand until I get started going. And that'll keep the threads from getting back, winding back down into the bobbin case and causing a gnarly mess. Now I know a lot of people don't see these because they have the auto cut feature on the sewing machine, but I tend, as a quilter, I tend not to use those because I just don't trust that they're not going to get me in a jam, and I really don't have time to clean out a gnarly mess in my sewing machine. Okay, so the first thing is drop your presser foot. And I have a knee lever that I can do that with my knee, but you also might just have the lever on the back, so use whatever you have. And hold that tail until you get started. And then once it's in there, you're fine. You might back up a little, you know, to lock the seam, and then you're going great guns. Take out the clips as you go, but hold the strap in place. I'm still got the 1/2 inch seam here with plenty of room for the wire. Now I'm getting close to the corner, and notice that my needle is up. If you have this option on your sewing machine, press needle down so that your sewing machine will always end up in the fabric. If you don't do that, you can use the hand wheel, just because when you get to corners, you want to have that needle in place so you don't lose your position, because we're going to turn the corner, and you kind of want to make your corner there 1/2 inch. You'll have to kind of guess. Now you lift the presser foot, turn the corner, and you probably noticed that I clipped the pleats in the pattern on the left side, and I did that for a reason, because I'm just going to hand fold these. This fabric doesn't really crease permanently, so you can kind of pre-fold it to make your pleats neater. But I found that it's easier for me to I use sharp tweezers, and I pick up that and then I match the points. You see how those two dots are going together? That's the size that your pleat should be. And this thing is really handy because then it kind of holds the fabric in place till I get under the presser foot and I don't get my fingers close to the needle, which I don't want to do because my mom sewed through her fingernail once and you just don't want to do that. So that's pretty easy. So see how I've already got it kind of pressed down, but this is really helping me make my positioning precise. If you don't have tweezers, you can also use like a seam ripper, anything with a little bit of a point, like an awl or maybe some kind of pointy thing is good because it kind of helps you get there and hold that in place. Okay, now we're getting to the bottom and we're going to turn the corner again. So make sure your needle is down, turn the corner to a 1/2 inch and go right across. Take out the clips. They say not to use pins because pins might make holes in this fabric and compromise the integrity of your fabric. So that's why another reason these clips are great. Okay, we're getting to the corner and we're gonna turn it. Take out the clip. Now, this is one reason I clip this side, because when I first started, I really had a hard time remembering that the pleats have to go down, and I'd get going great guns and I'd flip this one up, and then you're all a mess, see? So that's kind of why I do the clips on only on this side, because it really reminds me to keep those pleats down. And you can still use your tool if you want to take these out and then keep that in position. And we're getting to the last one. And keep those threads so they don't get in your bobbin and get twisted up or tangled up. Okay, we're here at the end. We're going to back up to a 1/2 inch. Maybe I overshot it. Okay, that's probably pretty good. Okay, now this sample is showing you for people that have the wire that the hospitals provided. This is a special wire that's going to go through their sterilization machines. I think they call it the autoclave system. And we're going to put that in there, and that's going to be centered in there. Now, if you don't have a hospital kit and you're just making this from your own tote bags or whatever fabric you want to use, I've heard people say they use pipe cleaners, maybe twist ties, maybe those things that you get at the landscape store to tie your flowers to stems, maybe floral wire. There's a lot of ideas out there what you can do to get this in here, get the wire in there. So I'm going to stick it in this end, and I'm going to try to center it. You kind of have to fiddle a little bit with it. I tried pushing it in with a crochet hook and that didn't work, but there, that looks pretty good. It's about centered. So we're going to go down here, and now don't sew over that because you might screw up your machine timing or your needle. Now I'm almost here, so I'm going to turn. I'm going to lock it into place with a stitch. There we go. And then we'll go back. The neat thing about this process is, see, I haven't cut any thread. So once you get this down and got a rhythm going, it's going to be super fast, and you have a lot less cutting because I hate cutting those little threads at the end. Okay, now we're going to go down here and we're going to lock this in. Now, if you don't, and some of the kits came without wire, and the hospital said that volunteers are going to put the wire in when they get it because they ran out for a while. So if you do that, just leave this whole thing open. And when you just make sure that they can stick the wire in there when they get the masks. And then also you might, when you stack them to take them back for pickup, you might stack that corner all in the same place. So it's obvious to the volunteers which corner they're going to be putting their thread in. You could stack them, probably I will stack them all in the same place with that corner, and then I'll mark it, with a little clip or something and say wire here, just to make it easier for them. So, but I do have the wire, so I'm going to turn here, lock it in with the stitches, back up. And now I'll lift my foot and I'm done. So that was cool. Oops. Darn computers. I did something weird on my computer screen. Oh well. Anyway, I can get that up. Pull it out. Now that's kind of, I like to really leave a little bit of thread so I can control the next piece. Rather than using the auto cutter. And then you just clip it close. These are great. I just got these because I have a trigger thumb and I can't bend my thumb, but these are really good for arthritis and anybody with stiff hands. And also Fiskars makes a big one for cutting scissors. Now just go back and clean up, but see how we only had to do this with one spot? Clean that up and ta-da! We're ready to go. Very nice. And I think the measurement, you'll have to check me on this, but I think this is supposed to be 4.5 inches. And so that's it.